a situation happened that I had not foreseen, and it could have turned out very badly. Welcome to Canada Kate Cafe. I'm Leah, and I'm trying to learn Canada by using a word and an experience about my life. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you brought your tea or coffee. Today's word I decided would be Suyoga. Suyoga means privilege, and I feel like I've had a lot of privileges in my life. What a lot of people don't realize about Suyoga is that Suyoga and Javabdari, I think I'm saying that right? Javabdari, which means responsibility, are two sides of the same coin. Every privilege, every Suyoga involves responsibility, Javabdari. It goes the other way around too. Every responsibility can be considered a privilege, and I think the way that you view it has a lot to do with your attitude about the Suyoga or the Javabdari. This is turning out to be an episode about two words, but I'm going to stick with Suyoga because it's been a little bit tougher for me to memorize. So, Suyoga. Ever since I was a child, I wanted to grow up on a farm. But my mother would tell me, you don't want to grow up on a farm. It's so dirty and sweaty and hot when you're working out on the farm. You wouldn't like it at all. But I was a very active person, and I wanted something very concrete to put my energy to. And so I kind of made up my mind that if I could choose my own lifestyle, it would be a farmy lifestyle. I had heard enough stories about it from my great-grandparents that I thought, yeah, that's what I want. I want to live on a farm. So when I got more independent and I was able to work up enough money, I bought a home with some acreage. Now that is a big Suyoga, big Javabdari, because it's very common in the U.S. to go into debt for a place to live if you're buying. So I would work on this farm, and people would tell me, even my own relatives, they would say, that is too much responsibility, too much, what do you want to do all that work for? But to me, it was Suyoga. I was actually having fun on this farm. It was fun to me. Even if I did end up dirty and sweaty, I was doing something that I enjoyed doing. So their attitude was not going to affect mine. To me, a day doing things with my animals and plants on the farm, it would be more enjoyable for me than spending $2,000 on a cruise in the Caribbean. I had horses, and that was a reason that pushed me into buying a farm. And I wanted to breed my favorite mare. A stallion is a full male horse that can breed and produce babies. And not too many horse owners keep stallions. They generally have a reputation for being only for advanced horse handlers. I called this one woman to ask if I could breed to her stallion. She said, why don't you just buy him? She was trying to find a home for him. She said it would cost just as much as a breeding. So I hadn't really thought about it, and it went through my head. Beautiful, older black stallion. And he was well trained in a high form of horse riding, second level dressage, which, you know, that's not really high level, but higher than I'd ever gotten as a rider. I asked my husband, I was married at the time, I said, can I have him? He said, yeah, I'll put some money toward it. You're purchasing this horse. I couldn't believe it, because he's not a horse person at all, but he wanted to make me happy. I brought this stallion home. He was a little tough to handle at first, but I did some research on how to properly train stallions and how to handle them in a good way. And it made me a better horse handler, actually, to have this stallion. It was quite the Suyoga. It taught me a lot. And to have this beautiful horse that was helping my marriage produce these beautiful babies, quite the Suyoga. One day, soon after I bought him, I started riding him around, enjoying riding an experienced dressage horse. And we were just going through some fields, just exploring to see what we could find out in those fields out there. I had not been able to ride in too many places at the time. A situation happened that I had not foreseen, and it could have turned out very badly. What happened was we came down this hill and into a grove of trees. And I didn't notice until just a little too late. We were going what seemed to be a path between these trees, and I saw, by the time we were in the middle of these trees, that we were surrounded by these big thorn trees called honey locusts. Now, if you've never seen honey locusts, they look like posts with medieval weapons of torture stuck all over them. It's quite a sight, and you don't want to get near them. And here I had ridden a horse I didn't really know right into the middle of them, and the end of it was blocked by more honey locust trees. Now, my life just flashed before my eyes, because if I had been riding my first horse, it would have been a disaster, certainly. I could just see asking this horse to back out of this dead end, his butt hitting a thorn, and panicking, throwing me off, maybe into some more thorns, kicking. I could have died there, or at least been in some severe pain and injury. So this beautiful black stallion, I stopped him, and I said, "Boy, I sure hope you can back up straight." So I gave him just the slightest signal to back up. That old horse, he looked to one side, looked to the other, straightened up, and slowly backed out, step by step, out of that dangerous path. About 6 feet, he backed up straight, 6 feet out of those thorns. And when we were in the clear, I fell down and hugged that horse's neck and told him I loved him, because basically he saved my life. I was so happy with that horse, and that's a special horse. I kept him almost to the end of his life. I had to move, and felt really bad when I passed him on to the next owner, but I'll remember that horse to my dying day. He was a special boy, and my first stallion, such a Suyoga. He produced female offspring. She was a very high quality horse. She also produced another offspring that's just so beautiful. And whenever I look at those girls, I think about how special that stallion was. He took a Javadari for my health and safety. I don't know if it was my Suyoga to be riding him. Maybe he viewed it as his Suyoga to be carrying me. It's hard to know. It's a nice thing to think about. I hope that was an interesting story for you. I will be thinking more about Suyoga from now on. I didn't even drink my coffee. Just think about how your responsibilities that you have now, how they could also be Suyoga for you. Not everybody is entrusted with responsibilities and privileges. Thanks for watching, and until the next time, there'll be another word. Please make a comment below to see what kind of word I should do next. And sounds like somebody's here. I'll see you later. Bye.